In this video, I'll show you how you can automate your entire SEO campaign so that you can start posting blogs like this one with 100% automation without you needing to do anything whatsoever. Now, over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about SEO, and then I'm even going to share with you the exact automations that I use to post SEO blogs on my own account. And as you know, we do not do any gatekeeping here, so all the templates are going to be in the description down below, so you can literally download them, import them, tweak them a little bit, and run your SEO campaigns probably in less than 30 minutes. All right, so let's not waste any more time and get right into it. So the whole goal of SEO is to be able to rank for certain keywords that are related to your niche. So let's say, for example, if you're on a barbershop, the whole goal is that when someone searches up barbershops in their city, you show up as a number one result, because the person's likely just going to choose the first result and then put it in their maps and come to your barbershop and get their hair done. Boom, a client for you. So the whole goal of SEO is for you to identify certain keywords that you want to rank for and then be able to rank for them on Google, or basically just show up number one in search results when someone searches for that term. So just to quickly solidify this for you as well, let's say, for example, if I was searching up for sunglasses online, you can see that the first person that comes up is sponsored, so they've paid to rank number one. Second person is also sponsored, so they've paid to rank number two. But then the third person here, Sunglass Hut, is ranking number three, but they're not actually paying anything to Google. So organically, they're ranking as the number three top search result without having to pay, which is likely going to get them traffic to their website, and it's likely going to convert clients for them without them having to spend any money whatsoever. So yes, that's the power of SEO. If you can get your SEO right, only your SEO, you don't need a full marketing funnel. If you can only get your SEO right and nothing else, you're never going to have to struggle ever again for getting any clients whatsoever. And the best thing is, it's all for free. All right, cool. So coming back to the theory. So as I said, the whole point is for you to be able to identify keywords like sunglasses that are related to your niche, and then to rank number one for these keywords so that when someone searches up that keyword or another keyword related to your products or services, you're going to rank number one. All right, now that you understand that, let's talk about how you can actually achieve this in practice. And honestly, the answer is actually quite simple. All you have to do is you have to post blogs. So I'm sure you guys know what a blog post is, but in case you don't, this is literally what it is. For example, if we go online and search up what are AI agents, you can see that there's a couple of search results of people explaining what AI agents are, like Salesforce, IBM, or Amazon. Now, does IBM, Amazon, and Salesforce actually care about teaching you what AI agents are? Well, maybe, but it's not the main reason as to why they're actually posting these blogs. The reason why they're posting these blogs is because inside these blogs, they have certain keywords that they're trying to embed so that they can rank for these keywords. So the goal is you find keywords, you post blogs related to those keywords, and then over time, Google allows you to rank better for those keywords, which then pushes your SEO forward, and now you can rank naturally for keywords in order to get more traffic to your website and eventually more customers. So I feel like I said keywords like 12 times in a row just then, but honestly, keywords are pretty important when it comes to SEO. But full transparency, it's honestly not just as easy as finding keywords and posting a whole bunch of blogs about them. You have to post these blogs in a certain way and link these blogs together in a certain way in order for Google to actually reward you for those blog posts. So if you guys are right now just posting a whole bunch of blogs without actually thinking about it or having any sort of strategy, I guarantee you it's not going to work. All right, so let's get back to the whiteboard. If you guys take a look at Google's documentation as to what your strategy should be in order to be able to boost your SEO with blog posts, you'll find out that it's literally just this diagram that I've drawn here. And honestly, it's not that hard. So I'm going to explain exactly what it is. So just before I do explain exactly what this diagram is, I'm going to quickly explain what C1, C2, C3, C4 stands for. So C over here stands for a cluster. Now, a cluster is just a bunch of keywords, let's say keyword 1, keyword 2, keyword 3, that are somehow related to each other and are quite similar. So you can potentially put them all in the same blog post. So let's just think of cluster as a bunch of keywords that you would put in the same blog post. So what Google wants you to do is that they want you to post a whole bunch of blog posts that have the keywords you want to rank for embedded inside them, but then they want you to somehow link these blog posts together. So for example, if I was reading the blog post about cluster 1, it would somehow relate to cluster 2, and I would put a hyperlink inside cluster 1 so that when I click on that hyperlink inside cluster 1, it will take me to the blog post of cluster 2. And then in the cluster 2 blog post, there's some sort of linking to cluster 3, and then to cluster 4, to cluster 5, to cluster 1 again, to all of the clusters. So they basically want you to post a whole bunch of blog posts, but then link these blog posts together inside them with hyperlinks. And just to solidify this for you again with the Amazon blog post that I was showing you before, if we take a quick look, you can see that some of these words are hyperlinked. So chatbot, if I click on it, it's going to be another blog post that Amazon posted. So they internally linked their blog posts together. And if I go inside chatbot, there's definitely going to be some to other ones, like learn about Amazon's, I don't know, learn about Lex chatbots. So if I click that one, likely another Amazon post, and so on and so forth. So it's literally as simple as that. They want you to post a whole bunch of blogs and then have keywords that you want to optimize for inside them and then somehow link these blogs together. All right, so now you understand the first bit of your SEO strategy, posting blogs, linking them together. Now, for better readability, what Google wants you to do is that they want you to define a pillar post. Now, what a pillar post is, let's say it's just a really high level post. Why can I not click this? It's just a really high level post that will have links to all of the clusters underneath it. So it's not going to go in depth for any specific topic, but what it is going to do is it's going to touch on all these little blog posts inside it and link to them. So if you want to think of the hierarchy, we have a pillar post up here, and then we have all these little cluster posts underneath, and they also relate to each other as well. But this pillar one, which sits at the top, is really high level and touches on all the ones at the bottom. Literally as simple as that. Have a bunch of blogs that link to each other, and then have a pillar post at the higher level, which links to all of the blogs underneath it. All right, it was as simple as that. Now, there's only one more component left for you to understand the SEO strategy completely, and that's external links. External links are exactly the same as internal links. It's little words that's hyperlinked to other web pages, but instead of these web pages being your own blog posts on your own website, they're going to be blog posts on other people's websites. And these other websites are usually very reputable sources, like, for example, let's say Amazon, or let's say OpenAI, or let's say Google itself. And because you're linking to these reputable sources, it's going to boost your SEO as well. And the content of your blog post is going to be considered factual and helpful and not just something you came up with from your garage. All right, so it's literally as simple as that. All you have to do is have a whole bunch of blogs that have keywords inside those blogs that you want to rank for, and then you want to link these blogs together with internal linking, and you also want to have external linking where these blogs link to reputable sources and other domains and websites. And then finally, you want to have a bunch of pillar posts that then link to a bunch of clusters that are most related to them. All right, that's literally it. I'm just going to show you a quick example as well so you can 100% understand. Let's say if I was running SEO for a car dealership, one of the pillar posts that they'll probably have is the ultimate car buying guide for 30-plus-year-old dads. Now, the clusters underneath them, one of them is talking about choosing the right family car, and the second cluster is talking about financing and deals, which is two components of that general theme of buying a new car for 30-plus-year-old dads. And as you can see, underneath each of these clusters, let's say, for example, the cluster about choosing the right family car, there's a whole bunch of keywords that are somewhat related to each other, like the best cars for dads, family cars for 30-plus-year-old dads, top family car features, spacious interiors for dads, cars with advanced tech for families. And then you're going to probably make one or a bunch of blog posts from the keywords inside this cluster. And you'd also do the same thing for the second cluster, which is talking about financing and deals. And if you look at the keywords, they're also all related to financing and deals and auto loan. And if you take a closer look at the keywords themselves, you'd also see that the keywords that we have are likely things that are going to be searched up by the target market or the target customer of car dealerships. Like, for example, if I was looking for a car and I was a 30-plus-year-old dad, I'd probably search up best cars for dads, or I'd probably search up top family car features, or I'd probably search up family car for 30-plus-year-old dads, so that when someone searches that up on Google, I'll rank number one, they'll read it, they'll see me, and potentially I can send them to another link and another link and another link and eventually sell them on my service. Boom, as simple as that. Now you understand what SEO is and what sort of strategy you should be implementing if you want to boost your SEO. So now let's take a look at my strategy and what you guys are going to be getting once you download the templates that I have inside this video. So my strategy is to post 2 blog posts per week. One of the blog posts that I post is a cluster post. So it's posts that are targeting certain keywords that's inside my niche that I want to rank for number one, like we spoke about before. Now, this is going to happen every single week. So I'm going to have one cluster post that's going to have keywords inside it every single week. The second post that I will post every week is a trend post. Now, because I'm inside the AI niche, I always have new developments happening inside my industry. Every 2 or 3 or 4 days or every week, there's something new that's happening, someone new's releasing some sort of model and everyone's talking about it. So I found that a good way for me to be able to push my SEO forward is to post about these trendy, hot topics. So as I said, every week I also post one post, which is just looking at the hottest topic of the last 3 days or the most trendy thing over the last 3 days inside AI. So 2 posts per week. One post is going to be targeting keywords that you want to target. And the second post is going to be targeting things that are super hot, super trendy. People are searching them up. You want to rank number one. And as you know, I have automated this completely. So I have a one cluster post being sent out every week and one trend post being sent out every week without me actually having to ever do anything myself. So it's all just automated happening in the back end. And that's exactly what I'm going to share with you today. All right, so let's take a closer look at the first type of post that we're going to be automating, the cluster posts or the posts that are actually targeting the keywords you want to rank for. So when it comes to setting this up, there's really 3 components. The first one is actually identifying those clusters or identifying the keywords that you want to post and the topics that you want to post about. The second part is getting these cluster posts to link to each other with both internal and external links. And then the third and final part is posting a pillar post every couple of months to gather all of these cluster posts together. All right, so as I said, the first step is to figure out the clusters. Let's do that. All right, so the goal is to be able to create an Excel sheet that's similar to this one that has a whole bunch of clusters and then a whole bunch of keywords underneath those clusters. So if we take a closer look at the columns, we have cluster, we have intent, we have keywords, and we have primary keyword. Now, cluster is basically just the name of that specific cluster. Intent. Now, intent is super important when it comes to ranking for SEO because, as I said, you want to be the person that they click on once they search up that specific term. And intent is going to define what they want to achieve from searching that up. So, for example, if they're searching up about barbershops, but they actually want to learn how to do their hair and it's an educational intent, you want to satisfy that educational intent and teach them how to do their hair, not sell them on any sort of hair products. So it's really important to know exactly why they're searching something up and then satisfy that search by giving them exactly what they want. So as I said, it's not just about dropping a whole bunch of keywords inside a blog. It's about figuring out why they're searching up those keywords and then satisfying that search by posting a blog post that has the correct intent in mind. The next column is just the keywords that you want to put inside that cluster. And then we have the primary keyword. And I'll tell you a little bit later why we have a primary keyword. So let's not worry about that for now. So I've given you access to this template in the description down below. So you don't need to start from scratch, literally just download the template. And now I'm going to tell you how you can fill it up with the correct clusters, intent, keywords, and primary keywords. Now, in order for us to find the correct keywords to target, we got to do a bit of keyword research. And when it comes to keyword research, people usually like to recommend spending 50, 60, 100, 200 bucks on these expensive apps like SEMrush that tells you which keywords you should target. But honestly, you don't need to waste your money whatsoever. If you want to do it the proper way, just use Google Ads. And if you want to do it the quick way, just use ChatGPT. I'm going to teach you exactly how you can do both. So first, let's take a look at the proper way to do this with Google Ads. Now, if you don't have a Google Ads account, it's actually super simple to make one. Literally just go on Google, search up Google Ads, make a new account for yourself. It's going to be completely free, and then you'd be inside. And then once you're inside Google Ads, just click on Tools on the left and Keyword Planner. Then you'd be on the same page that I'm on at the moment. Amazing. Now that we're on the same page, let's take a quick look at the right way to do keyword research for free. So what you want to do is just click on this Discover New Keywords section. Okay, so now that we're on this page, what you want to do is provide Google with a bunch of keywords that you think identifies the main points of your product or service or business. So for example, if you run an AI agency like I do, you would search up something like automation because we provide automation services. You would search up AI, you would search up AI agents, you would search up BPA, which is business process automation. You'd search up RPA, robotic process automation, and you'd probably search up like N8N. So these are some keywords that kind of define my business as a whole. And then once you have these keywords, all you have to do is click on Get Results. So then what Google Ads is going to do is that they're going to show you a whole bunch of keywords that are related to the keywords you put in or related to your product or service or business. And it's going to give you a bunch of statistics on them that you're going to then use in order to choose the best keywords to target. Now, when it comes to choosing keywords, there's 2 main metrics you want to look into. The first one is search volume, or how often people are searching this up per month on Google. Because you obviously want to spend time trying to rank for a keyword that no one's going to search up anyway. And then the second metric is competition, or basically how many people out there at the moment are trying to rank for these keywords. So think of the Google platform like a big auction floor where everyone's trying to rank for the keyword that's most related to their business or service. And so everyone's auctioning and putting all these SEO efforts in order to rank number 1 when someone searches up that specific keyword. And that's why competition is super important, because you'd obviously rather be bidding at an auction floor where there's only 20 people competing compared to an auction floor with 1,000 people competing. Because obviously, the less people that are competing, the easier it is for you to win. So then it's as simple as that. You want to find keywords that are high volume, so people are searching them up all the time, and low competition, so it's going to be easier for you to rank for those keywords. So let's get back to Google Ads. As you can see, there's a bunch of metrics. The two main ones that you want to really focus on is the average monthly searches, which is how many times people are searching them up per month on average. And then the second one is going to be the competition. So you want to look for keywords that have low competition and a higher average monthly search volume. So I've just clicked on the average monthly searches bar to sort it from the most amount of searches to the least amount of searches. And then you can see that these keywords all have a low competition. DALL-E has medium competition. AI Agents has medium competition because it's really popular at the moment. And the list just goes on. There's about 2,000 keywords that you can choose from to create your clusters. Now, if you're just starting out with your SEO efforts, it's usually recommended to look for keywords that are long tail or a little bit longer and are more relevant to your products or services. So they're a little bit longer. There's kind of like sentences, but they're directly addressing what you're trying to rank for. Because these longer keywords are generally a little bit easier to rank for compared to the short ones like AI that we just saw. So then, as I said, what you'd want to do is find keywords that are going to be high enough in terms of average monthly searches and low in competition, and then grab those keywords and put them inside, because you're going to turn them into clusters and then post blog posts about them shortly. Now, I really don't want to make this into a full marketing tutorial, so I'm not going to go super in depth into exactly which keywords you should choose and how you should filter out keywords from your shortlist in order to choose the actual clusters using Google Ads. But if you guys really do want to see that, put it in the comments down below and I'll take you through exactly how I did it and exactly how I came up with this Excel sheet that was able to tell me exactly which keywords I should choose based off mathematics and by coming up with an actual score that then allowed me to remove all guesswork whatsoever. All right, so now let's get into the easier method, which I probably would recommend if you don't have much experience with marketing. And like all good things in life, this easy method is going to be through ChatGPT. All right, so the first thing that you want to do is to open up ChatGPT on your browser, just like I've done here. And then you'd want to paste in this prompt. And I will give you guys access to this prompt, so don't worry about trying to screenshot it. I will put everything in the description down below. So the prompt basically just explains everything I've explained to you so far to ChatGPT, just telling it what the correct SEO strategy is if you want to rank for SEO. And then it tells it what sort of keywords are good keywords, and it tells it how it should come up with those keywords. And yeah, feel free to read it in your own time, but it's basically just saying like come up with frequently asked questions, and then using those frequently asked questions, come up with keywords, and use those keywords, come up with clusters, and then come up with pillar posts. And then I'm just telling ChatGPT that this is the format that it's meant to follow. So pillar 1, cluster 1, keywords, cluster 2, and then pillar 2, cluster 1, cluster 2, and then pillar 3, so on and so forth. And then the only part that you have to change is this part underneath continue that says you have just signed on a new client. So I'm acting like your ChatGPT's new client. The client's name is your company name. So for example, I'm going to put my company name, which is Comexa AI, and they provide product or service. They provide automation services to target customer, and just put in your target customer here. For me, it's going to be small businesses. And then just click enter. So all you have to do is just change that last little bit, which is going to tailor the prompt to your business. And if you guys have access to ChatGPT's paid version, I really would recommend using the reasoning model, because the reasoning models do much better with these sort of complex problems where ChatGPT has to think through multiple steps. And as you can see, this is the pillar post that it came up with. Pillar post number 1, Ultimate Guide to Small Business Automation. Cluster 1, Business Automation Basics, and it's got these keywords underneath it. Cluster 2 is going to be AI-powered automation benefits. Then Comexa AI Solutions, implementing automation in your business. And then pillar post number 2 is choosing the right automation services for your small business. The future of small businesses is the next pillar post, and so on and so forth. And you can tell ChatGPT to do more and more and more of these, and you can tell it which ones you like and keep them, and remove the ones that you do not like. Now, in continuation of this same chat, I just want you to paste in the second prompt that I gave you access to. And this prompt is basically just going to tell it to reformat the answer that it gave you above with the pillar posts and the clusters and the keywords into the correct format for you to be able to just copy and paste it into the Excel sheet template that I showed you a couple of minutes ago. So now let's run this one and I'll show you exactly what the output looks like. It's reasoning. Honestly, you don't need to use a reasoning model for the second prompt, but who cares? We've done it now. So there we go. Now that's the exact table format that you want in order to be able to copy and paste it into Excel. So I'm just going to copy these, go to the bottom, CTRL-C, copy, and then I'm going to reopen my cluster template and just click on paste. Boom. That's all you need to do. Now I have the clusters, I have the intent behind those clusters, and then I also have the keywords. So it's a little bit misformatted here. So if I just wrap this text, you can see a little bit more clearly. That's the intent for this cluster. That's business automation basics. And then you have the keywords that you want to target, and the keywords are separated with commas. And then you have the primary keyword, which ChatGPT also gave you. So you literally have to do no thinking whatsoever. And just to address the elephant in the room for the people that are going to complain about having to do this keyword research manually, I knowingly decided not to automate this process because honestly, it's not that repetitive whatsoever. You're not going to have to do keyword research every second day or every third day or even every week. And you do get some added benefits by putting your own 2 cents into it and choosing which keywords and clusters you want to put inside your automation. So yes, I honestly could have automated it, but you get more benefit from not automating it than you would from automating it. Don't forget, guys, automation is about return on investment. If you're going to spend a whole bunch of time to save a little bit of time, then you're wasting your time. You want to spend a little bit of time to save a whole bunch of time. The goal is to save time. Don't forget that. All right, now that we're done with the dry, boring marketing component of the video, let's get into the fun part. In this section, I'm going to show you exactly how you're going to automate your entire SEO campaign for less than $1 a week. So as I said, there's going to be 2 types of blog posts. First one is the one that targets the keywords, the cluster SEO post, and the second one is going to be the trend post, which is going to target trendy keywords that's generally just news that most recently happened and people are searching for. First, we're going to talk about the cluster SEO posts. Now, just to show you exactly what the final result of the cluster SEO post is going to be, this is a post that was posted on my website on the 3rd of February. Let's have a look. Multi-agent systems, a comprehensive guide to scaling AI agents for business. So as you can see, there's first an image at the top of the SEO post. Then there is a H1 header or title. And then there's the key takeaways section, which says exactly what the summarization or the conclusions of this reading piece is. And then it also has an estimated reading time. This one's 8 minutes. We have a table of content section where whichever one you want to click, it goes to that exact header or that exact section of the blog post. And then you have intro, title 1, and then little subtitles, title 2, so on and so forth. Then we've got a whole bunch of links. So let's try each of the links. This one, for example, is an internal link. So it's going to another blog post of mine. Let's have a look at this one here. This one is going to an external link. So a website called smythos.com. And it's also the same thing as you go throughout. So you got the internal, external links. You got the H1, the headings and subheadings. And then we have a conclusion section, a call to action section, and that's about it. So yes, as you can see, the final result looks pretty damn good. And believe it or not, I literally did not do anything to post this, but turn on the automation and leave it there. All right, so let's get into exactly how we are going to achieve this. All right, so this automation looks pretty linear and sequential, and I actually did this on purpose. Now, a lot of you guys are going to be like, oh, why didn't you use an AI agent to do the whole research component? And why didn't you use an AI agent to do the internal and external linking? Because in reality, I want to build an automation that actually works. I don't want to build an automation that's going to get me 1,000 clicks. I want to build an automation that I can leave in perpetuity and let it post blogs for me and get my SEO to work better and better. So yes, honestly, sometimes a traditional rule-based automation works much better than having a bunch of AI agents do a bunch of random things. Because if I did want to put an AI agent to do the research and put an AI agent to the internal external linking, and then put an AI agent that, I don't know, did the title, meta description, and that sort of stuff, in theory, it might work 99% of the time, but it's not going to work 100% of the time, and I don't want to have to come and check on it every single time. And also, the amount of tokens that it's going to use is going to be a lot more. So in terms of the price that I'm going to pay every week to post the automation, it's also going to be more expensive. So yes, I knowingly chose not to use AI agents in this automation. But if you want to, it's pretty easy to add AI agents here. But in reality, you don't need AI agents. So I wouldn't waste my time on it. All right, so let's get into it. So obviously every automation needs a trigger which starts the automation. So it tells the automation, hey, I need you to run right now. The trigger that we're using for this automation is obviously going to be a schedule trigger because we want the automation to happen periodically, let's say every week or every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, depending on how often you want to post your blogs. And if I click into the schedule trigger node, you can see that I have defined it to be at 07***4. Now, what this means is 7 a.m. on the 4th day of the week, which is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So 7 a.m. on Thursday every week, this automation is going to run and it's going to post. But if you wanted to change this to, let's say, 9 p.m., you'd put 2 space 1, that's 9 p.m. And then on the second day of the week, which is Tuesday, you just put asterisk, I believe there's a space in between there, space, asterisk 2. It's as simple as that. Feel free to change it to whatever day, whatever time you want. Or if you want it to just be periodically, let's say in specific intervals, every 2 days, every 3 days, every 4 days, you can also define it here. But I would probably recommend to just choose a certain day, a certain time, and just let it to post every single week. And honestly, you don't need to post 1,000 blog posts a week. I probably would recommend 2 being a sweet spot. Now, if you wanted to do 3, that's fine, but you don't want to seem to spam you with Google either. Cool. So let's move on. Now, for this automation, obviously the first component is to figure out, okay, what topic do I want to actually post a blog on? And that's just going to be you retrieving information about that specific cluster of keywords. So what you want to do is go and grab that Excel template that we built together. So the cluster intent keywords and primary keywords Excel sheet. Then you probably want to turn it into a Google Sheets just because it's a little bit easier to work with when you're attaching it to N8N. So you want to copy and paste it into a Google Sheets document. And then you want to add one extra column that just says completed. And completed really just means, have I posted the blog post for this cluster, yes or no? So let's say, for example, we'll keep the first one as yes. So imagine we've already posted that blog post, and then we can just put no, no, and then just send that all the way down for the rest of the columns. All right, there we go. Easy as that. All right, so let's go back to the automation. As I said, the goal here is to get information about the specific blog post by retrieving information about the cluster. So you'd probably want to get the cluster, intent, keywords, primary keyword, and the completed section. So to do this, we obviously have just a Google Sheets node. You'd want to authenticate or basically connect to the Google Sheets API. It's pretty easy to do. I'm not going to go through it, but it's basically as simple as just logging into your Google account with an OAuth authorization. And then you want to make sure it's obviously on Get Rows. Then you want to choose the sheet that you want to extract information from. So this one is called Keywords New. It's the one that I'm using for the demo. It's not the actual one that I post blogs off. So if I change this to Keywords New, that's going to be my Google Sheets. And then it will ask for me to choose the page that I want. Now, if I go back here, you can see the page is called Sheet 1. Now you guys can change this depending on the pillar post. So this is only for one pillar post, let's say. If I had another pillar post, I would add another sheet here and I would name it pillar post number 2 name. So whatever the name of your second pillar post is, and this one would be pillar post number 1 name. So these are the clusters underneath the first pillar, and these are going to be the clusters underneath the second pillar. Simple as that. You want to choose the first pillar. So pillar post number 1 name, that's what we're currently using. And then you want to leave the rest of it. So let's just run this and I'll show you exactly what will happen. Boom, easy as that. So we have now grabbed information about, we've grabbed information about too many rows. I just want to grab information about 1 row. So let me just quickly add option, and you want to say return only the first matching row. So let's try that again. Not sure what happened there. Okay, I know what happened. So because I changed the Google Sheets, it also removes my filtering. So basically, obviously the goal here is to only take let me go back here. The goal here is to only take the first row that you haven't completed. So you want to add a filter here, add filter. We want to say the column being completed and the value you want it to be no. So you only want to take the first matching row where the column completed has a value no, meaning that you haven't posted a blog for it yet. Let's try that again. This should definitely work now. Boom, there we go. So that's the first matching row number 3. As you can see, multi-agent systems, complex interactions, yada, yada, yada. Boom, there you go. Row number 1, 2, 3. First one, that's no. Perfect. So now we have the information about the blog. We have the cluster, which is just the name of that cluster. Then we have the intent. We have the keywords inside that cluster. And we also have a primary keyword defined. Easy as that. So then what we want to do is we want to make a preliminary plan for the actual post. So then we can use that preliminary plan to go and research the post. So the preliminary plan is literally just going to be using an OpenAI module. So it's pretty easy. You'd want to use some sort of reasoning model for this. Reasoning models tend to do better when it comes to planning. So I chose OpenAI O1 Mini. Now you don't need to do it through OpenRouter. You can literally just do it through an OpenAI API key. But I just choose to do it through OpenRouter sometimes. Doesn't really matter. And also, if you want to connect your OpenAI API key to n8n, it's also simple to do. You just want to go on Playground in OpenAI and you want to get a new API key. You want to come in here and you want to copy and paste it in there. Simple as that. And then I have also defined the prompt here for you, so you probably wouldn't need to change anything. You are part of a team that creates WordPress blog posts. For each blog post project, you're provided with a list of keywords and search intent. And then I've just explained what keywords, search intent, and primary keywords are, like how I explained to you guys before. And then I said that given a list of keywords and search intent, your job is to understand the goal of the blog post, identify the thought process behind the flow of the blog post, and come up with a preliminary plan for the post. And then I've just told it some specific instructions in terms of what the output should look like. And then I have obviously attached the keywords, search intent, and primary keywords from the previous node. So that's what the prompt looks like with the information from the previous node. Let's run this. Shouldn't take long.
One eternity later.
There we go. So that is now the preliminary plan for the post. We have a preliminary blog post plan, multi-agent systems, introduction, yada, yada, yada. So we're going to leave this for now. Then what we're going to do is we're going to grab that preliminary plan for the post and we're going to research it using Perplexity. Now, if you guys don't know what Perplexity is literally a tool that I use every single day. So I cannot recommend enough for you to go and start using it right now. And honestly, Perplexity deserves a whole nother video just to explain exactly how it works. And I probably will do a video on that soon, but trust me, for the time being, just search up Perplexity and start using it. It's amazing. So now just to quickly show you a demo of exactly how Perplexity works. Perplexity is basically just a research tool. So you can search up queries like how you would search up on Google Chrome to go and search for a specific thing. Perplexity just makes it easy for you by summarizing the top links and then just giving you that summarized information to actually answer your question without you having to go and research yourself. So let's say, for example, if I search up what is DeepSeek 1, boom, I can search that. As you can see, Perplexity is going to show me a bunch of sources, so a bunch of links that it went through, and then it's going to aggregate those sources and give me my answer from the internet with in-text citation. So as you can see, it's a great tool to use for searching through the internet and gathering links to use as in-text citation. And that's exactly why we're using it here. So let me just show you guys how you'd want to connect to Perplexity. It's pretty simple. You want to use a HTTP request node. So exactly how I have it. And by the way, I would not recommend going and trying to build this one by one, every single node and configure it like how I have configured it. Just go and download it. And then if you want to build on top of it or tune it, feel free to do that. But just go and download it in the description below and you're going to have access to everything. So don't waste your time. I'm literally just showing you this so you can understand the flow of the automation. So you want to have the HTTP request module or the node. It's obviously going to be a post request because you want to post or send the search query to Perplexity and let Perplexity search it. So you want to send some data to Perplexity. So you want to use a post request. Then the URL that you want to define would be the Perplexity chat completions URL. So just this one here. And then you want to authenticate or connect yourself to the Perplexity API. And if you guys don't know how to do this, it's actually very simple. If you just go back to Perplexity, you can click on this little icon here once you make your account. Click on settings and your API key is going to be right there. You want to copy that API key, come back, make sure that your authentication is on generic credential type and header authorization. Then you want to click into it and define the name to be authorization and the value of that header to be bearer space, and this part would be your API key. So just replace API underscore key with your API key, but you want to have name as authorization and value as bearer space API key. Simple as that. I do not want to save this, so let's move on. You want to make sure that the body of the request is obviously on. And the request you want to send would be using JSON, and this would be the request. So I'm not going to get into too much detail as to exactly what this request is, but there's two really important components. The first component is the model that you want to choose. I would definitely recommend using Sonar Pro because Sonar Pro is a variation of Perplexity that actually provides more in-depth research and also provides twice as many sources or links or hyperlinks for you to follow to go and find that information. So the normal sort of Sonar model just gives you 5 citations, whereas the Sonar Pro gives you 10. And obviously we're building a blog post that's going to have external linking, so we want to get as many as possible. So I'm just going to put the model as Sonar Pro. You want to make sure it's like that. And then I've defined a system prompt, so we don't need to worry about that. And in terms of the user prompt, it's just going to be the search query that you actually want to search up. So I've said you're helping research for a blog article. Please provide in-depth research for each of the titles of the following blog plan. And then I've just inputted the plan from the previous node. So something like that. Let's just pop that through and see what we get back from Perplexity. Okay, there we go. So that is the 10 links that Perplexity provided for the research. And in terms of the actual research itself, it's here in the content. Introduction to multi-agent systems, and it's a whole bunch of information with in-text citation and all the fun stuff, similar to how we saw exactly here. All right, perfect. So that's all you need from the research component of the automation. And then I have a node that's just going to fix the formatting. So what it's going to do is, if you can see here, Perplexity actually cites the sources with numbers. So number 2, number 3, number 4, and then it would say, okay, number 1 is this link, number 2 is this link, number 3 is this link, so on and so forth. It's a little bit harder to work with the AI that way in terms of external linking. So I just made a node that is going to convert the number 1, number 2 to the actual link itself. So instead of saying number 1, for example, it's going to say source HTTP whatever. So the actual URL itself. So that's just a way to fix the URLs. You don't need to worry about that. And then I have the actual blog post plan node, which is going to provide an in-depth plan for the actual blog post itself. So let's have a look at that. Obviously, as I said, it's just going to be another OpenAI module, or OpenAI node, as they call it in NA10. As I said, you want to use the best reasoning model you possibly can. I would recommend using either the O1 preview model or using the DeepSeek R1 model. So I used to use DeepSeek R1, or I did for like a couple of days, but the problem with DeepSeek R1 is that it often glitches. It takes ages sometimes to run. So I decided that for the sake of this demo and this presentation, I'll keep it as O1 preview. But if you guys want, connect to DeepSeek R1. It's a really, really, really good model. As I said, so if you want to use OpenAI's models, you can just obviously pop in your OpenAI API key from the playground, and then you will be connected. Pretty simple stuff. And then in terms of the user message, this is what I have defined. You are part of a team that creates world-class blog posts. For each blog post project, you're provided with a list of keywords, a primary keyword, search intent, research findings, and a preliminary blog post plan. I cannot say that word. Preliminary blog post plan. Here's a definition of each of the inputs: keywords, search intent, research findings, preliminary plan. So I've just explained everything again with the primary keyword as well. And then we have said that given the said info, you must create a detailed plan for the blog post. Your output must include a plan for the blog post, be in .port format, blah, 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 blah. So I've just given it specific instructions so that it can provide the output in the way that I want it to be. So you can read through that yourself, but I probably wouldn't recommend deviating too much from this. I have optimized this prompt over time, so I think it's a pretty good prompt. So then for the information that you want to pass onto it from the previous nodes, you want to have the keywords, search intent, preliminary plan, research findings, primary keyword, literally everything inside the prompt, and you want to send that to OpenAI to then get a proper plan for the blog post.
One eternity later.
O1 preview is just a slow model when it comes to responding, especially if you give it a complex prompt like this. It's going to require it to think. It's going to take a while. There we go. So that is the output. You got the detailed blog post plan. It's just the information that you need. Happy days. So that's the blog post plan. Then I want to give that blog post plan to a copywriting node that's going to actually write the blog post for me. I would recommend using Anthropic Claude 3.5 Sonnet for this node, because as a lot of you guys probably know, Claude 3.5 Sonnet is a lot more natural sounding when it comes to copywriting, so it sounds more like a human writing as opposed to an AI writing. So it's pretty good when it comes to copywriting tasks. So as I said, use 3.5 Sonnet, or if you want, you can also use GPT-4o. That's also good, but definitely do not use a reasoning model. If you want to connect to Claude 3.5 Sonnet, you can either connect through their actual website with Anthropic, or you can just connect through OpenRouter like I have done. But it's also pretty easy to do. Literally just search up API key and you would be super straightforward for you to get it. So I'm not going to go through it exactly, but pretty simple for you to do. Just connect yourself to Claude 3.5 Sonnet from Anthropic, and then you can define a user prompt. Now, the user prompt that I've defined is how I want my blog post to look. If you guys want your blog post formatted in a specific way, feel free to change it as you wish. But I think what I have here works pretty well. You're part of a team that creates world-class blog posts. You are the team's best copywriter and are responsible for writing out the actual blog post. For each new blog post project, you're provided with a detailed plan and research findings. Your job is to create the blog post by closely following the detailed plan. The blog post you create must follow the plan bit by bit, use short paragraphs, use bullet points, avoid fluff, be detailed, include keywords. I'm not going to go through the whole prompt, but it's a pretty good prompt. I've also told it that I wanted the blog post to be about 2,500 words long. And I've also said I want a year 5 reading level. So once I've said all that, I've also given it access to the detailed plan and the detailed research from the previous nodes, and I've taught it to write the blog post. Let's see what we get as an output. Boom. There we go. That is the final blog post. The Rise of Multi-Agent Systems, a complete guide for businesses. In today's rapidly evolving AI landscape, multi-agent systems are transforming how organizations tackle complex challenges across industries, these sophisticated networks of AI agents, yada, yada, yada. You're going to see the final blog post in a sec, so I'll show you guys what the actual output looked like. But all you need to know is that this node works and it does a pretty good job, so let's move on. So if we have a look at what happens next. Next, we want to work on getting the internal links sorted because, as you saw, when we did the research and we fixed the links for the research and we passed that onto the actual blog writer, we basically told the model to keep the external links in place. So if I go here, you probably see some sort of external link. Boom, there we go. So that's a link to IBM. So the external links have already been sorted. Then what we want to do is we want to sort out the internal links, which is the second important component of good blog posts, as I told you before. So basically to do this, I'm going to quickly just have to show you another Google Sheet that I have. It's called Previous Posts. My bad, it's not called Previous Posts, it's called Completed Keywords. So basically what this Google Sheet is, and I'll also give you guys access to this as an Excel sheet template. Basically, it's just a Excel sheet that I keep to talk about the blog posts that I have already posted before. So every time I post a blog post, I will say this is the blog title, this is the keywords that were inside that blog post, and then I also say this is the summary of that blog post, so you kind of can understand what the point of the blog was or what the topic of the blog was. And then I also have the URL to actually access that blog post. So as you can see, I've posted a fair few blogs, about 39 till now, so this is probably over a couple months. I wasn't fully consistent with it, to be honest. But yeah, so basically every time I post the blogs, I make sure that it goes in here, provides a blog title, bunch of keywords, and also a summary. All right, so how we're going to be actually achieving the internal linking is also quite simple and obvious here. You want to import all the information about the previous posts and then use all that information to make judgment as to which part of the current blog post is related to which other blog post, and then you want to provide that sort of internal link. So if we have a look at the previous posts node, you can see that I have said to get all the rows from the completed keywords. If I test this step, it'll be pretty straightforward. It's going to grab all the rows. There we go. So that's all the blog posts, 38 items. As I said, we've got 38 blog posts. So, and then I'm going to just aggregate the information. Boom. Into one item instead of 38 items, so we don't run the OpenAI node 38 times. Then once it's all just in one big chunk of data, I want to grab that chunk of data and pass it to an OpenAI node or a large language model and tell the OpenAI node to think through the internal linking opportunities and actually link it for us. So I've also used a reasoning model here, so I would also recommend you guys using a reasoning model in this situation as well because it's a little bit more complex. It requires the model to think. I used O1 Mini just to keep it cheap, but if you want, you can use O1 Preview, DeepSeek R1 if it's working properly by that time, or O3 Mini or whatever you guys want to do. So let's take a look at the user prompt that we've defined here. You're part of a team that creates world-class blog post. You're in charge of internal linking between blog posts. For each new blog post that comes across your desk, your job is to look through previously posted blogs and make at least 5 internal links. To choose the best internal linking opportunities, you must read the previous blog post and look through their keywords. Don't link it if it's not highly relevant. And then I've just defined exactly how I want it to think through the internal linking opportunities. And then I've provided it with the current blog post. So you can think about this is what we're currently posting. And also I've provided it with the aggregation of all of the previous posts, all of their keywords, summaries, and blog post names. So you can say, okay, this is the previous post, this is the current post, this is how I can link them. Okay, and let's just run this. And actually, just one part of the prompt that's pretty important. I told the node or the large language model to not return the previous blog posts, just return the current blog post with the internal links added, and don't change any information about it. So don't add any information, don't remove any information, just add the internal linking opportunities. Boom, there we go. So if we have a look through here, you'd probably find a bunch of links that says https chemexa.ai. Let's see.
One eternity later.
Boom. Okay, finally. That's an internal link that we found, chemexa.ai, and it's taking me to a blog called Multi-Agent Systems Business Adoption, number 2. So that's the blog post that it's referring to. And the reason why I had to scroll for like 2 minutes to find the actual blog post, looking past the fact that I obviously have to scroll sideways, which is pretty weird, I specifically told the large language model to not force an internal link. And the reason why I did that is because Google actually says that if you're just linking to a bunch of shit that's not really related and you're just trying to link as many things together, it actually ruins your SEO. So it doesn't help it, it damages it. So I made sure that the links that are actually being linked are pretty legitimate and they're not just random internal links. So that's why we don't have too many internal links, but let's move on. So once we have the internal link sorted, we have the external link sorted, and we have the blog post written, we want to convert that written sort of markdown format blog post into a HTML version that we can actually post as a web page. So if you look at, for example, this blog post example here, this is obviously not just in markdown format, this is HTML format. HTML, for you guys that's non-technical, is literally just the programming language that's used for creating web pages. So it's called hypertext markup language. And basically what it does is it just makes the web page sort of interactive and it makes it look cool. In this node, as I said, we'll convert it to HTML. You also want to use a reasoning model. So I've just used OpenAI O1 Preview. The prompt that I've defined here is actually pretty important. Now, you would probably change this depending on the template that you're using for your WordPress website and also how you want your blog posts to look. But I've basically just told it that I want certain things inside my blog post. Like, as I said, I want my key takeaways section. I want an estimated reading time. I want a table of contents. I want to format the headers and subheadings and that sort of stuff like this. I want to have the sources as hyperlinks. That's just how I prefer to have my blog post look. But if you want to change it, you can also change it as you wish. If you do want to change it, literally just use OpenAI. Just talk with ChatGPT on the actual ChatGPT interface and say, this is how I want my blog post to look like. Can you provide a template or a HTML template or a prompt that would convert Markdown to HTML so that I can achieve this template from a Markdown post? Hope that didn't confuse you. But let's move on. Basically, what I've done, as I said, is I've just defined the specific instructions of what I want my blog post to have, like FAQs, I don't know, quotes. I want it to be bold, yada, yada, yada. And then something that's really important is that I gave the large language model an example of a well-formatted output. So this is just an example of what the final HTML output should look like. And as I said, also, this is how I want my ones to look like. And I didn't want to gatekeep, so I wanted to give you guys the exact prompt that I use. But as I said, if you don't want your blog posts to look exactly like mine, feel free to play around with it with ChatGPT's help. Honestly, in 2025, you don't need to know how to code. You just need to know how to prompt. It's pretty cool. Cool. So then I have also given it access to the blog post. So I've said, this is the specific instructions. This is the blog post that I want you to convert to HTML. And this is an example of a well-formatted output. Happy days. Let's try and test this step and see what we get. Good thing you don't need to sit there every time you want the automation to run. You can just let it run in the back end. Otherwise, if you want to sit down and wait for these nodes to run one by one, I swear you'd spend half your life just looking at this test step circle spin and spin and spin in perpetuity. Perpetuity, that's the word. Come on, man. Hurry up. Boom. And as you can see, it's finally run. As you can see, that's the output. So we got just a bunch of HTML code, which is going to define what the blog post is going to look like. I'm not going to try and read through that, so let's leave that for now. But you will see what it looks like in a sec. Boom, so now we have the HTML version of the blog post. Then we want to define a slug for the blog post. Now, if you guys don't know what a slug is basically just in your URL, it's going to be the section that comes after your website. So multi-agent systems, business adoption number 2. So it's going to point at that specific URL that you want to go to, or that specific blog post you want to go to. So basically I just have a prompt with GPT-4o Mini to say, create a slug, and for the slug, use the primary keywords of the blog post, just so we can help in terms of SEO purposes. So if I run this, I'll show you what the output is. There's no real need for me to explain this node to you. Rise of Multi-Agent Systems Guide. So that is the slug. So that's going to go after HTTPS // So let's move past that. That's the slug. And then you want to define the title of the post. This is just going to be the actual title of the blog post. So this is what the title is. As you can see, just Multi-Agent Systems, a comprehensive guide to scaling AI agents for business. Boom. So then I want to basically just create the blog post title. For the blog post title, I'm also going to be using the primary keyword, and also just giving the large language model access to the blog post so it knows what the blog post is actually about. So GPT-4o is what we're using here. And the output that we got is the Rise of Multi-Agent Systems, a complete guide for businesses. Now that's going to be the title of the blog post. The meta description is the next thing, also pretty straightforward. Basically, it's going to create the meta description for the blog post. And then we get to the fun part, or the cool part. This is the get image component of the blog post. So what this is actually going to do is it's going to create or grab this image that goes at the very top of your blogs. And no, you don't necessarily need to put an image up there, but I do find that blog posts that have no images look like literally a 5-year-old kid wrote them. But if it has the image, it makes it look much more sophisticated. And also, a lot of people would not think this is fully AI generated with the image at the top and all the formatting. So I would definitely recommend having the image there. For the image, I've also used a HTTP request node. And the tool that I've used for this is SERP API. Now, if you guys don't know what SERP API is, literally just search up serpapi.com on Google, and you will go straight to SERP API. SERP API is basically just a tool that allows you to do Google search, but using an API as opposed to actually using Google's interface. So you want to just register if you don't have an account, and it will allow you, I think, 100 executions per month. So you can use the API as 100 times per month for free, which is very, very generous. So just create a new account for yourself or register, and then grab the API key, which is all you need. If I come back to SERP API's playground, it will show you exactly what the node that we have is going to do. So if I define a search query, basically what the API will do is it will search it on Google, similar to how you search on Google yourself. And then it will go to the images section and grab the information of the images that come up from that search. So let's say if I search up AI agents, you will see that the images that come up are going to be related to AI agents. So boom, these are all images related to AI agents. And then all you want to do, or all we want to do in our automation, is just grab one of these images and use it for the blog post. So if I come back here, I will explain the rest of the node to you now. So you want to make sure that send query parameters is on in your get request, because you want to send obviously query parameters. The first parameter is going to be the actual query, or what you're going to be searching up on Google. You want to define it as Q being the name, and the value of it is going to be the title of the blog post in the previous node that created the title of the blog post. So the query that we're sending here is the Rise of Multi-Agent Systems, a complete guide for businesses. And then you want to just define a geographical location where you want to do the search. So I define my location to be searching through the United States. So GL, geographical location, and the value US or United States. But you can change this if your target market sits somewhere else. Like if your target market is in Australia, I think it's AU or AUS, I'm not sure, maybe you'd have to check, but yeah, just change it to whichever geographical location. And if you guys want to change it, just go and check the API documentation for SERP API. It's actually pretty simple to go through, and they will tell you exactly what the name of each country is, or what the initials for each country is. So happy days, let's try this and see what comes back from it. There we go. So that's information about a bunch of images. So that's suggested searches. We don't need to worry about that. What we want to think about is the image results. So that's the actual images that came up. On position number 1, we had this image. If I go to original, I can probably show you what the image was. Boom. There you go. So that's the first thing that came up, multi-agent system, and it's by Solu Lab, and they have this nice little diagram here. So there we go. It's just going to be a bunch of images that come up. It's a pretty long list, but you don't need to worry about the rest of them. So once you have those images, you just want to grab one image, and that's exactly what I've done here. So I have image URL equals to one image. The image that I chose is going to be this one. Let's see what this image is. Multi-agent RAG systems, user prompt comes in, yada, yada, yada. So it's a pretty good image, good enough for the blog post. Then once you have that, you want to move on and you want to actually create the post on WordPress. And this part's probably the most important part of all, because obviously you're going to see some real tangible results now. Now, good thing N8N already has a predefined integration with WordPress, so you don't need to create a HTTP request node like this, because that would probably be a big sack, considering WordPress's API documentations is pretty confusing. But let's just quickly go through what the WordPress node would look like. So you want to connect yourself to your WordPress account, which is pretty confusing to do. So I'm quickly just going to show you exactly how you can do that. All right, so I've just quickly opened up one of the WordPress websites that I own. So what you want to do is quickly just come to users. You want to click on the actual user. So once you're inside user, you basically just want to go to the very end, and there's something called application passwords. And what you want to do is you want to create a application password, because you're going to need that to connect N8N to your WordPress account. So just write some sort of name. Let's say N8N is my name for the application password. And if I add a new application password with the name N8N, that's what you're going to get. So NRSAY170, whatever, yada, yada, yada. So let me just copy that. And I'm definitely going to be changing this, so don't try and access my API key. But basically you just want to copy this. And once you copied it, you want to come back to the automation, and you're going to see something like this. You're going to have a section that says username, password, and WordPress URL. So in the username section, you just want to pop in the username. So my username was, I think, kia.gasem. Simple as that. And then in terms of the password, you want to copy, or you want to paste in the application password that you created. So this one here is what we got from there. And then you want to have the WordPress URL. So whatever your actual URL of your website is. So let's say, for example, for me, it would be comexa.ai. That's basically all it is. So you put HTTPS // and over here you would put your application password, and above that you would put your username. So once you have all that information there, you can just click save, and it will connect to your WordPress website. Now this isn't the correct information for me, so I'm just going to come out of this. Boom, there we go. So I've already connected myself, but that's how you can connect to your WordPress. Happy days. So you want to make sure that it says it's a post request, and you want to have the operation as create, because you want to create a new blog post. And then you just want to fill in the information based off the previous node. So the title is just going to be the title of the blog post that we bring in from the previous node that was related to the title. Then you'd have the author name. So over here, you can just pick from a list of names. Obviously, you'd have your own name as the author, or if you want to put someone else in your team, it's up to you. Now let's take a look at the actual content of the blog post, which is probably the most important part. So you want to make sure that you have this exact prompt set there. What I've done is basically just before the actual blog post, I have defined a cover image, and I have pointed the cover image to the data point that refers to the URL of the image that we got. So I basically just put the image at the top. That's all I did. And then after the image at the top, I have just put the actual post below, and I have an extra curly bracket here. So let me remove that. Boom, easy as that. So that's going to create my blog post. And then I have the slug. As I said, the slug's going to make the URL of the blog post. Then I have the status. Now, honestly, I am pretty confident in my blog posts, and I could not be bothered to go and read it every time I want to post it. So I have it set to straight publishing. So I don't actually have the human in the loop in this case. But I want to show you guys just a demo, so I'm going to put it as a draft. Up to you guys if you want to have a human in the loop and you want to check it. Probably better off like that for the first 2 or 3 times. And then after that, once you're 100% happy with it, put it on publishing straight away. But let's just say let's put it on draft at the moment. The comment status, up to you, whatever you want to change it to. I don't like having the comments section be open. And then you'd have category names and tag names. And this is just basically a part of WordPress that allows you to tag your blog posts and define categories for your blog posts, so people can navigate through your blog posts a bit better. It's a good practice for SEO. So I just tagged it as AI agents, and I have the category as automation. And in terms of the template, I've just chosen the Elementor template. But if you guys have a specific template, you can just use the drop down menu and find that template and use that template. Easy as that. Let's test this. Now, what this node is supposedly meant to do is create the draft for the actual blog post. Happy days. So that looks like it definitely worked. Let's go on my WordPress account and have a look at the result of this blog post. Happy days. The Rise of Multi-Agent Systems, a complete guide for businesses. Post by KiGSM on this date, which is today. And then I have the image at the very top, or the cover image, the one that we found from Google. The Rise of Multi-Agent Systems, a complete guide for businesses. This one's taking 12 minutes, so it's a bit longer. You have the key takeaways, a table of contents. Damn, that's a long table of contents. And as you can see, you can click it and go to certain places. You have the sources. Sources should take you to external links or internal links. This one's taking me to IBM, so that's the external link. There's probably also internal links here as well. Let's probably try and find one. Is this an internal link? Yes. No, it's not. Damn. Is this an internal link? Yes, there you go. So that one opened up this blog post, which is another blog post of mine. Happy days. So as you can see, that's the rest of the blog posts. Looks pretty nice. Human in the loop versus fully autonomous AI processes. It's a really, really important topic. I usually like to always recommend keeping the human in the loop, but in this case, honestly, I am not bothered, so I'd like to keep it fully autonomous. Future trends, conclusions, frequently asked questions, like we always do, and that is my beautifully written blog post. Now, honestly, if you wanted to get a blog post that looked that clean and had that many features, you would definitely be paying an SEO company $2,000 a month, minimum $2,000 a month. But as you saw, we literally automated this 100%, and I'm giving you the template to exactly what my automation looks like for myself in the description down below. So download it and you will be saving $2,000 a month, and you'd still get the benefits from having an SEO campaign. All right, and basically in the last component of the blog post, we just want to do two quick things. Number one, we want to go back to this initial Excel sheet and just say that, yes, we have now completed this second blog post. And that's exactly what this node is going to do. So it just goes and finds that specific row that we just posted for, the specific cluster that we just posted for, and it changes the completed section to yes. Happy days with that one. Once we've done that, we just want to add the new blog post that we just posted to the completed keywords Excel sheet, so that it would say, okay, this is another blog that we've posted, and it will come up here in number 40. I don't actually want to do this because I'm not posting that blog. And then it'll come up here in number 40, and it will fill out, as I said, the title, keywords, summary, and also the link to it. And by doing that, now in the future, when you post another blog and another blog and another blog, it will internal link to this blog as well. So it would have it inside the Excel sheet, then you can link to it again, if that makes sense. As I said, I'm not going to be running this node, but the only thing that you'd probably want to change here is just for the URL. I have my actual website domain, so chemexa.ai, and then / the slug. You want to keep the slug the same, so you want to point at the node that created the slug, but you just want to change this chemexa.ai to your URL. Now, whatever your URL is going to be. And that's it. That's the automation for the cluster SEO posts. Now, let's move on to the second type of SEO posts, the trend SEO posts. Okay, so for the second type of post that we're going to have, it's going to be the trend posts. Now, as I explained to you before, the trend posts are just going to be posts that are capturing a new piece of information or a new like trendy keyword, and it's going to be posting about that keyword. And most of the time, this is just going to be some sort of news. Now, to be honest, this second automation isn't going to apply to everyone, especially if you're in an industry that doesn't have new things happening every week and hasn't changed in the past like 2 or 3 or 5 years. You probably wouldn't necessarily need this one. But as I said, this is just a way for you to capture new keywords or new developments and post about that on your blog, which I think helps a lot with your SEO. And with that, let's get right into the automation. So as I said, every automation needs a trigger so that it starts the automation at a certain point. We want to use a schedule trigger because you want to post periodically every week, 2 weeks, whatever it is. And the way you define that is just using this cron expression. So you can use 084, which is 8 a.m. on the 4th day of the week, and you can change that as you wish. Explained this before, but let's move on. So obviously, if you're posting about a trend, the first thing you want to do is find out what that trend is. And in order to do this, I've used the HTTP request node that's going to also be calling on SERP API, like the previous automation that we did with the clusters. SERP API doesn't just let you search through Google, but it also allows you to search through Google Trends. So if you guys don't know what Google Trends is, you can literally just go on Google and search up Google Trends, and then click on the first one, which is Google Trends, and then you will be inside Google Trends. Now, Google Trends is a really, really good tool, especially if you guys are creating content, because it allows you to capture the trends that are happening both on Google and on YouTube. So if we quickly just pop over to the Explore section. Now, the Explore section is where you would be looking for trends, and it's also what we're going to be using via SERP API's API. So the Explore section basically just allows you to track either a keyword itself or similar related keywords in terms of the search volume over time. So for example, if I search up AI agents, like that, and then I keep the search to the United States, and have it not over the past 12 months, but over the, just quickly for you guys to also see, over the past 12 months, as you can see, not many people were searching up AI agents in June, August, not even until November. And then you just suddenly had a massive spike in around January. So it's definitely a trendy topic. But if we change this from past 12 months to past 7 days, because obviously we want to post about something that's trending now, not trending over the last year, you will see that this changes. And then you could also define where you want to track that trend. So web search means tracking the trend in terms of how many people search it up on the web. News search is how many people search it up in news, and YouTube search is how many people are searching up for it on YouTube. So even if we look at YouTube, you can see that in the past 7 days, it's been pretty standard for AI agents, but in the past 12 months, I'm sure it's spiked like crazy. Yeah, there you go. So let's just go back to Google search or the web search. So AI agents, United States, past, let's say 7 days for web search. And if we come down here, you can see that it gives me something called related queries. And it's just basically telling me which related query or which related keyword to AI agents has had the most amount of increase in the volume of searches. So what thing is trending a lot in terms of AI agents. And as you can see, the number one trending thing right now is OpenAI Deep Research, which is fair because I think it only got released like 2 days ago. And it's a pretty cool tool, so check it out. But yes, OpenAI Deep Research is the number one most trendy keyword, and the number two one is FBI agents. not as relevant to what we're trying to search up about. And then we have 11 Labs, Flow, Wise, and AI voice agents. So let's go back to the automation. Basically, what we want to do again is we want to connect to SERP API. You're going to use the same exact process that we used last time. Query authentication. You just want to make sure the URL here is using the engine as Google Trends. So it's searching up through trends, not images. And then you want to just connect again, same way that we did before. You want to send a query parameter. The Q is just the actual search term that you want to search for in terms of trends. Now, I define it to be AI agents because I want to rank for AI agents, because realistically, my business is revolved around automation and AI agents. And my goal from posting SEO posts is to be able to rank number one for AI agents, so that when someone searches up AI agents, I come up first. So you would have whatever your product or service is. Let's say if you're a lawn mowing company, you would have lawns. I don't know. If you're a dentist, you'd have dental services or something like that, right? You'd have something related to your product or service. So the main keyword that you want to rank for in terms of SEO. And then in terms of geographical location, we've defined it to be the United States. And then the language that we want to use for the trends is going to be English. And then in this last section, I just want to define what sort of time frame I'm looking at. Like as you saw before, we did the last 7 days, or we could have done the last 12 months or 2 years or 5 years or whatever it is. In this section, we just want to define a custom interval in terms of how far back it should be looking for the trend. So I have defined it to be the past 3 days. So today is the 6th of February, and it's going to look from the 3rd of February to the 6th of February. And I find that looking at the last 3 days is pretty good because it captures things that are really trending right now, as opposed to looking at the last week, which is like, okay, it might have trended last week, but this week it's old news, so you don't really want to be posting about it. So if you want it to be really, really quick to the game, you can just do the past day, but it's really up to you. And then the next query that we want to send is to just define the data type that we want to receive back from the trends. And I want to find the related query. So if I just go back here, there's two things that the the Google Trends API will give you, or the SERP API will give you. It will give you related topics and it will give you related queries. Related topics is super broad and it doesn't really work for our use case. So you want to only receive related queries, which is the keywords that then you want to create blog posts about. So you want to define the data type to be related queries and everything else looks fine. So if I just run this, you should be able to see the trending keywords or not. That's the problem. So the problem was that I deleted the search query. So the search query is going to be AI agents. Let's try that. So this definitely should work this time. Please. There we go. Cool. So this is the result from the SERP API. It's weird to say. But as you can see, the rising related queries, number one right now is origami agents. And number two, it found to be OpenAI Deep Research, which is what we saw in the other place. Origami agents is definitely a new one, but otherwise, that's the trending keywords. And then in the next section, I have extracted the two most trending keywords because it's going to give you like, I don't know, 5 or 10 or whatever it is. I just defined a JSON formatting where it just gives me the most trending number one and number two keywords. So the number one was origami agents with a score of 38,050. I think that's just the percentage increase that it's had over the last 3 days. So 38,050% more search volume over the past 3 days. And then OpenAI Deep Research, 35,700. And I'll actually show you one more thing real quick as well. So you can find these related queries in terms of two metrics. The first one is in terms of rising, or basically how much the search volume for them increased recently, which is realistically catching the trend. Or you can search in terms of top queries. So what was searched most in terms of volume over the past 3 days related to AI agents, or that query that you popped in initially. So the top related queries doesn't necessarily catch the trend because agents in AI or AI agent or what are agents is realistically something that people are searching up all the time, not just over the past 3 days. So I'm not necessarily posting a blog about these. I'm posting it about rising keywords, but considering these keywords are keywords that are going to be super high volume, there's still a value in putting it inside your blog posts in different places so you can kind of rank for those keywords as well. So that's exactly what I've done here in this second node with a bit of JavaScript code. Basically, the JavaScript code just grabs all those top keywords and puts it inside a string. Agents in AI, agent AI, what are agents, what are AI agents, what is AI agents, best AI agents, yada, yada, yada. So it basically just grabs those top keywords and puts it in a string with commas between them so that later on I can use it in my blog post. Happy days. So that's that. And then the next node that we have is just a large language model node. Over here, I've used DeepSeek R1 because why not? Let's see if it actually runs, because sometimes it just goes and spins and spins and spins in perpetuity. But yeah, if you can use DeepSeek R1 and if it's working properly, definitely use it. It's a great, great, great model. So if I quickly just take you guys through the prompt that I'm giving DeepSeek R1 as well, basically just telling DeepSeek R1 to choose one of the keywords from the two top trending keywords so that we can post the blog post on that the keyword. So first I've just said you're part of a team that creates world-class blog posts. The blog posts are posted on the website of an AI and automation agency called Comexa, focuses on building AI agents, so does AI employees and automations. The blog posts are mainly posted as part of an SEO campaign to get Comexa to rank for its products and services. So basically just explained exactly what my business is, what my products and services are. So I've basically just given it some information in regards to the two keywords that's going to be given to it, the two top trending keywords that we extracted before. I've basically just said it's going to have two attributes: query, which is the actual keyword itself, and score, which is how much it's increased recently. And I just told it to choose one of them based off a bunch of factors. Now you can change this to obviously suit your business. You wouldn't want to be choosing keywords that are related to my business. So feel free to at least change this part of the prompt. And this part of the prompt that also says my business's name. And then you want to make sure that you're just feeding in the two keywords. So keyword number one and keyword number two. So this is what the final result would look like. And as you can see, DeepSeek R1 actually ran quite successfully. And the one that it chose is origami agents. I don't know if that's actually a thing. Let me search up what origami agents are. Okay. Oh, cool. So it's like a new application. I thought Origami Agents was literally like the origami paper. So cool. Okay, it's working properly. Happy days. So now we've chosen the topic of the blog post. Then I have the same exact thing as I had in the other blog post, just a research node. And we're obviously going to be using Perplexity here again. I'm not going to go through it one more time, but you want to make sure you're using Sona Pro and you want to have this query sent through. So research the following topic and return everything you can find in regards to that topic. So let's run this. There we go. So that's the result. You get 10 citations and you get a bit of research from Perplexity. All right. So once we have the actual research, we just want to fix the links as well, like we did before. Basically, what that's going to do is it's going to just give you these HTTPS sources with in-text citation, which you're going to use as internal links. And then we have the actual writer component, and this is just going to be the node or the large language model node that's going to actually write the blog post for you. As I said, I like to use Claude 3.5 Sonnet, but you can use whatever else you would like. The prompt is this one here. I've just told it the input information that it's going to get, like the query and the other keywords and the research findings from the Perplexity node. And then I've given it some information as to how I want the blog post to look, and basically what information I want it to have inside the blog post. So I want it to be for a year 5 learning level and be at minimum 1,500 to 2,000 words long. I'm going to give you guys access to this exact prompt, so you don't need to sit down here and try and screenshot it, so don't worry about it. But basically, I've just inputted the actual query, which is the topic or the most trending keyword, and also the detailed research, which is what we got from Perplexity. And basically, let's try and run this. It's probably going to take a couple of seconds because it's going to Claude 3.5 Sonnet through OpenRouter, and it's also a pretty complex task. Okay, so there we go. That's the actual blog post. Origami Agents, the AI-powered sales revolution transforming lead generation. It's pretty fair. It's kind of what they talk about on their website as well. Origami Agents, lead generation, yada, yada, yada. So there we go. That's the actual blog post itself. And in this section, like before, I'm not going to go through it one more time. We're just going to import the previous blogs that we had. We're going to then aggregate them, and you would have something like this with a bunch of information about the previous post that we have, like the blog title, the keywords, the summary, and the URL of each of the blogs that we've posted till now, so that we can do the internal linking as we talked about before. And then like before, we would have a node that will do the actual internal links. Prompt is similar to what we had before. So the current blog post and then the previous blog post underneath. And we're using O1 Mini. As I said, you want to use some sort of reasoning model because it does require a little bit of thinking. But let's see what the output for this one would be. It's the output. Now, this one should also include some links to Comexa.ai or some internal links as well. So happy days. Then you want to just convert that blog post to HTML like we talked about before. Cool. So once we have the HTML version of the post, we just want to define the slug, title, and meta description for the post like before. And then we also want to just grab the image that goes at the top, like I showed you before as well. And that's going to also be exactly the same as the previous automation. So I'm not going to actually go through that. And then we are going to finally post it on WordPress. So I'm just going to quickly change this to draft, and I'm going to run it to show you the final result. Boom. So that should have now created a draft blog post. And as you can see, we have the actual blog post itself. So Origami Agents revolutionizing sales with AI-powered lead generation. We have the little image at the top, which was extracted. We have the title, the estimated reading time, key takeaways, table of contents, headings, subheadings, in-text citation being linked. And then we have frequently asked questions at the end as well. And now that we've posted it onto WordPress, we just want to obviously do the same thing we did before and add it as a new blog that we just posted to our completed keyword section or our completed blogs sort of Excel sheet. So that's done through this node here. As I said, the only thing you want to change here is change Comexa.ai to your own URL. Now, whatever your URL is, yoururl.com. Right, so I'm not going to run this because I don't actually want to post that blog post and I don't want it to create false data inside my Excel sheet. So I'm not going to do that, but you definitely can. And that's it. It was literally as easy as that. There's no need for you to go and spend $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month on an SEO agency to run your blogs. Literally just download the templates I gave you, upload it into your own workflow, tweak it a little bit, put in your credentials, and then boom, you're going to have your SEO campaign running indefinitely in the future. And I promise you, if you stick to it, within the next 1 to 1.5 years, you're going to see real results. And if you're an AI agency owner, you can literally resell these templates to your own clients for at least $200 a month. So all you have to do is get a new client, hook them up to the templates I gave you, and then have the blog post running indefinitely in the back end, and you'll just get $200 a month every month without really having to do anything. And once again, if you guys found this video useful, please like and subscribe and put it in the comments down below. But otherwise, I will see you guys in the next video.